Good time of day, folks. This is Sharky ProDiver, and today we're going to talk about some aspects of the life that are implemented into the IB and can be of some importance in our daily routines. The thing is that IB, the International Baccalaureate, focuses quite a lot about international relationships. What does it imply? One of the implications is that you consider other people's cultures, traditions, and values. And sometimes those values or cultures or traditions may clash with each other. For example, in Russia, some people will find it no problem whatsoever to discuss the Second World War. Quite on the contrary, they will be quite enthusiastic about it because, in the eyes of some Russians, World War II was the glorious event that brought the victory to the Soviet Union and made USSR into a broadly recognized power. For example, that's an opinion people may have. If we go to Germany, however, some people may not prefer to talk about World War I, for they don't see World War II, for they don't see World War II as a topic that is very glorifying. They see it as a humiliation to the country, and some people even say that they didn't really like the Hitler's rise to power. So that's a topic that can be considered taboo in Germany, for example. And when you go to Germany from Russia, you might want to watch out not to talk about the Second World War because it can create some sort of problems in communications with other people. However, how does one find out about those taboos or topics nobody should really talk about? For example, if supposedly I've never heard about France before in my life, and it can easily happen, and suddenly I find myself in France right now at this very moment, and say I'm in Paris, and say I start talking about, let's say, bombs. People would most likely stay away from me due to the recent Paris bombing events. So the bombing is actually a taboo topic right now, and if I want to build a good relationship with people in Paris, France, bombs would not be a good conversation topic. Why am I saying this? Well, because I personally had a small clash of values happening recently, and I thought that, well, if I'm now going to reevaluate my experience, some people can get the benefits from it. The thing is, how do we actually find out which things are taboo and which are not? Now, one person could say that it must be researched, but if I am not sure which person I'm about to engage in the conversation next, and I still want to be more or less friendly, how can I do it if I have no idea about this person's taboos? And that's where this whole problem comes in, because let's say this whole bombing situation, I go to Paris and I start to talk about the bombs, and people just stay away from me because it's a dangerous topic. But what if I don't know about this? I can see that people don't like the things I'm saying, but if I ask them what exactly is going on, sometimes what can happen is I either don't get a response or people just get angry at me for their own reasons, but I as a person cannot understand this. So I think in order to actually build a true communication bridge between different cultures, it actually would be quite nice to immediately say what the problem in the conversation is. The conversation we had recently in the chat was about basically, well, you could say about rape. What I basically said, if you're being raped, try to get the most pleasure from it. When this phrase is put into the context I was saying it in, it implied that if you ever find yourself in a problematic situation, try to get the most advantages out of it. However, for some people, the analogy I drew with the maximum benefit and rape seemed very edgy. In fact, it was actually thought that I was silver lining the rape, which wasn't my intention in the first place. But then the whole problem is that, first of all, I didn't know about that, and second of all, the way it was argumented wasn't exactly very well done. What do I mean by it? I kept on saying that that's what I meant, and if you think something else, well, you're wrong because that's not what I meant. And the person would respond that my opinion doesn't really matter in the situation, and that's what is being stated. So we have that one side says that this is the thing A, the thing that's being said, while other person says that no, that's not exactly what's being said. What's being said is thing B. And how do you solve those things? Well, I think what could have been done in the first place, so let's say I make this analogy with the rape, and the person says, well, I see your... Well, let's say the person doesn't understand what I mean, and the person asks, what do you mean? Because the way I see it, the rape, it means it looks like as if you're silver lining rape, because people who are getting raped experience a very traumatic experience, and therefore what you're saying right now is not really appropriate. To which I might respond, oh, I see, well, that's not exactly what I meant. What I meant is that if you ever find yourself in a negative situation, you must always get out the most amount of advantages out of it. To which the person can respond, oh, I see. But what if you just say what you just said without the rape? Because it gives a negative connotation in a given community. And that's exactly how the problem is solved. Because if I actually want to communicate with the person on a good level, and if I want to maintain a relationship, I will comply with those rules, because I will be in a different community that views the topic of rape differently. Therefore, I would simply go to what I said and edit it to just say, instead of when you're getting raped, try to get the most pleasure from it, to the phrase, when you find yourself in a problematic situation, try to get the most advantages out of it. And that's basically the tip of advice I give you. It's always important between people to communicate and not try to be offensive, but directly say what you think and ask what the person meant, to which the person can respond and actually come to a compromise. Otherwise, we can just end up, what basically happened right now, both of us were guilty, we ended up arguing about this topic for, I think, hours. And on my behalf, I apologize for creating such an analogy that can be interpreted in a different ways. And actually what I'm about to do is go to the post and correct it to make sure it's way more neutral. But what I would also advise for the future situations is that when somebody says something that's not really matching your understanding, please first of all don't come up with rash conclusions. Don't say that this person is a horrible jerk or something. Just say that's not what you see and ask if that's what the person means. And if the answer is yes, then you can say that the person is a jerk because, and then you give a reason. But even then, what I would advise is, instead of saying you're a jerk, say, in this given society, it's not appropriate to talk about rape, because when people think about rape, it's all thought about the people who have gone through it and have a negative experience. So you see, don't try to just argue at each other. Try to communicate with each other. Well, as you can see, it wasn't really a well-prepared video on my behalf, but I thought it was a really important topic to talk about. If you really want to, I will make it into a more professional video. But up to this point, the point I'm trying to make is, instead of arguing, shouting, swearing, offending, ask, inquire, analyze. And by doing so, you will be a very successful person in the world. So, that was Sharky Pro Diver, and have a nice day.